Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the GeekVerse podcast. This is the Captain America. No, it's not, because he's not Captain America yet. This is the Falcon and Winter Soldier, I guess, spoiler series review, whatever we're calling it. We never know what we're doing, but what we're doing is we're reviewing every single episode of Falcon and Winter Soldier. I am the Canadian agent, Trav Snell, and I'm joined by...
I am the White Panther, Kirklin Patzer.
There's some good names. I'm Red Wing, Taylor Field.
Taylor, before we get in this, as always, we're going to give our overalls. We're going to take an ad break, and then we're going to spoilers. Where can they find us on the interwebs? Plug away.
Ladies and gentlemen, you can find us with your internet connection. GeekVerse.ca is our home base. GeekVerseCast is our Twitter, and then GeekVerse on Facebook.
I feel like, the times where I want you to be quick, you're never quick. And then I feel like the times where I want you to kill a little time is when you're just like...
Oh, you want me to kill time? When there's sleep, like, mere hour away, like, it's like, oh, yeah.
Shaving off those minutes.
Well, what do we got coming up next week, Taylor?
Next week, oh my gosh, ladies and gentlemen. Boy, next week, I can't even begin to start my excitement for that. We got the anticipated Godzilla vs. Kong, which is not going to premiere in any theaters in Canada because they're all closed, unfortunately. But life finds a way, and Trav is leading the charge. I'm sure we're going to find a way to review it legally, of course. So VPNs in Canada are a great thing.
Nothing but legal here. You can check out the Snyder Cut review. You can check out, obviously, last week we reviewed Falcon Winter Soldier. A bunch of good stuff going on there, as always. So this is episode 2, The Star-Spangled Man. Kirklin Patzer, what did you think of episode 2 of Falcon and the Winter Soldier?
Yeah, so I really, really liked this episode. I felt like it was a step up from last week's. At the end of this episode, it's got me like hype for next week, whereas I feel like last week, it's not that it didn't have that, but it was just like a lesser value, I'd say, if I'm comparing it to WandaVision or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
This one, it's interesting too, like the run times of it. Like this one was 40 something minutes. It said 50 minutes, but there's a bunch of credits. But it just feels like a good chunk of like a movie that I'm watching, like on all these episodes. This week's episode, there's 2 out now, but
you saw more than us. You bastard.
Yeah, no. But no, I really liked it. Good just character stuff. I felt like the humor was like 50-50 on me. I felt like at times it just went a little further than I was wanting them to go, but like other than that, I really liked all the character moments. And yeah, overall, I just thought it was a really good episode.
Taylor Field.
Yeah, I think it's a huge step up from last week. Again, I'm very excited with a lot of things that are unfolding and storyline wise. Again, with certain character development and character reveals as well. It just kind of has me really excited. Certain things that they executed, I feel like they definitely wanted you to feel a certain way when they did certain things, whereas obviously at the end of the episode they kind of they shed more light on certain events, and it just makes you kind of change your mind. Like, okay, like I see through the lies of the Jedi, you could say. But it again,
exactly what they're going for.
Oh yeah, it definitely leaves me stoked for the next episode, because there's so many more questions that they've dived into, and I need some answers.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm excited to get into spoilers because there's definitely some stuff they dropped here. But yeah, as far as like last week goes, I feel like I was down on. I just feel like everyone enjoyed it a lot more than I did last week, and not just in this review, just in general. And I almost felt bad, but it's just like the way it's go. Well, it's just the way you felt. And as I've been saying many times, like a broken record, I was like, okay, are we going to get that hype like WandaVision? And last week we didn't. So I was kind of worried that the rest of the series might kind of be like that. I knew, of course, there'd probably be like a great finale, a great cliffhanger here and there. But even then last week, I feel like there's some good character moments, but the whole episode was like, all right, this episode was, as the kids out there say, just like, it was a banger of an episode. I loved it from start to finish. I thought they gave us so much. They did like action great. They gave us even more character stuff great. The humor was a lot better than I was expecting, because I remember there's some jokes in here that were in the trailers and they played better in this episode. I agree with Kirklin. There's still some that don't hit, but for the most part. But I think what they have done is now last week we got a little bit of that, of like, here's the players, but now it's like, hey, here's the stories. And as far as the villains, other characters, how they're intersecting, they're becoming a lot more clear. And we're gonna get into some spoilers, but I absolutely love what they're doing with the new Captain America. I think they're knocking that out of the park, because I think they're not just going one way or the other with it. And I just think that this show now has these kind of 4 different storylines going at the same time, and now I'm interested in them all. Where last week, like, now I'm interested in the Flag Smashers. Where last week I got a little bit sentenced, like, okay, this might be all right. Talking to some people, I kind of get a bit more interested. But are they just going to be a generic terrorist group? Is that just who they're going to be for this show? And luckily, I don't think they're going to be. It looks like there's layers, there's intrigue with them too. So, yeah, I was quite happy with this episode, and I'm glad this week, like you're saying, Kirk, now I've watched it and now I want more, which is good. Like, and of course I always want more, but I had that initial, like, okay, I can't wait for next week for a few reasons. So is there anything to say non-spoilers before we get into spoilers here? Going once, going twice. Sold to the Captain America. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take our first ad break, and then we're going to get right into spoilers. So after that, you can't listen if you watched the episode. So I hope you've done your due diligence and watched it. So here comes an ad break right about now. Okay, so I just want to start with U.S. Agent. I want to just jump into it and see, Taylor, I feel like I got a good rate as far as I remember WandaVision last whatever, a few months ago. I was like, oh, you should make this the thumbnail because I bet the episode's gonna be about this. You're like, you sure? I don't know if that's it. I'm like, oh, just trust me,
Well, the Halloween, I'll give you that, but that was definitely like, it was sus. It was a sus one. But this one,
either way, I was right. The only way it was sus is because you had seen some leaks beforehand, and you're like, Travis, I think the Halloween episode's coming up. I think that's next. I said, no, it's not the way. It's going to be the 60s one or the 70s. And it was. And the same way it ended with U.S. Agent. And that's one thing I got to give them credit. I want to say non-spoilers, but I feel like we're seeing a lot that was in trailers already so far. Mm-hmm. Like, so many of that back and forth that Falcon and Bucky had were in the trailers that were in this episode. So that's a good sign that I feel like it's like the last season of or the last few episodes of Mandalorian, last episodes of WandaVision, that there's a lot of stuff we've probably not being shown, which is a good thing. So I think that's really exciting. But I love what they're doing with him, because I knew this is where I had a feeling they were going to start here with them. And I like that we start, and he seems like a nice guy. He's just trying to do right. He has that great conversation with, whoever it might be, girlfriend, wife, whatever. And they really humanize him. Like, it spends like, it feels like they start him at a high point and then they slowly deteriorate him. But the good thing is he's not even like, so far we'll get there, but even at the end when he kind of blows off Sam Falcon, it's kind of because they're being dicks to him too, right? They're like, well, we're not going to work with you. So it's like, it's true. I think he's definitely going to go things about the wrong way even more so as the series continues. But I just feel that they've done a good job of, like, he is just trying to do right, and he has no idea what to do here. He's not a super soldier. He's just trying his best. Everyone fucking hates his guts. That's not the public. And what did you think as Kirklin and Taylor? This is obviously your guys' first like also we knew the character was coming, but this is the first time seeing U.S. Agent probably in any media, because I don't even think he's popped up in any games we've played, like Marvel Alliance or anything. So, Kirklin, what do you think about John Walker here, the new Captain America?
Yeah, I really liked how they went about like the beginning of this episode. Like, it was just him, and then it was just some weird scenes with him. It looked like he was just like loving up his old locker. Like, he just had like the weirdest faces.
Closes his eyes.
Yeah, he's moaning.
That
exactly. Yeah. So like some of that stuff was funny. But like, no, I agree. Like, it was good of them to like just flesh out this character and like give him more layers before we actually like get this like really be mad at him. I guess we already kind of are for how last week's episode kind of ended, but I really liked how they went over like his military career, because it's not just some actor, like it's actually a veteran, that's been serving the country and all these things. I loved when she's like the first man to get 3 medals of honor. Like, man, this guy is just, he could be starring in a Godzilla movie.
Oh yeah.
But But no, I found it hilarious too. For like later on when Bucky and oh my gosh, Falcon, I forgot his name.
Sam
Sam, thank you.
Wilson.
Yeah, Bucky and Sam when I think they're at the prison or something. And anyways, US agent, he's totally just like, I feel like he's just loving like the fame that he's getting. Like he's just becoming like the celebrity, you know, like shaking hands, taking photos, and just like
signing
being
toys.
Yeah, like being all charismatic, like, oh hey guys, blah blah blah. And like he's starting to grow this really like low quality beard, chasing like the Chris Evans one. I love that detail. I thought it was so good. Especially like at the end when they showed him just like the way that he was standing, he had like the sideburns, totally looking just like the former Captain America. So I agree with you, Travis. I really like what they're doing with him. And it's just, I feel like it's gonna be a fun character. It's gonna be a fun character to hate.
Well, and I feel like before you go to, it's just like I feel every scene when he's being a little weird with the locker, but the idea is supposed to be like, okay, he's reminiscing, right? And this is where he grew up. So it's like you have the scene where it's like he's a regular guy, and then you get the scene where he is like seems like he's being swallowed up by the fame and he's enjoying it. But then you get the next scene where he's being interviewed, and for the most part, they're talking about like, he's a regular guy. He just like what they seemingly did is they got a kind of like the first movie, and they have a lot of echoes to the first movie as far as they tested a bunch of soldiers to see, hey, who's the best here out of the bunch and everything like that. They talked about his honor. So it's like every scene I feel like you get a scene where, oh, he's kind of douchey, and then it's like, oh no, he's just under a lot of pressure, and he's I don't know about a nice guy, but he's just like a regular guy who just doesn't know what to do in the situation. But then there's other times where he's just so arrogant, you're like, how am I supposed to gauge with this guy? And that's why I like that. I don't know what the route's going to be, if he's going to go full villain or not, but I feel like there's going to be times where he'll be villainous, but I feel like he might end up being a anti-hero or kind of a, I don't know, someone that's on this, like on our side, but not really. I just love what they're doing of every scene. You don't know what you're going to get out of him. You know, because even then when he's like, I could really use Captain America's right-hand man, like that would like, it's arrogant the way he's saying it, but it's like, it's truthful because he's extending offer being like, hey, I need your help. Like, I just, I don't know what to do here. Cap trusted you, so I should trust you. So
yeah, like the biggest disdain that they'd have towards him is that the fact that he's just like in Steve's shoes.
Yeah.
So anyways, Taylor.
Yeah, it's funny because I didn't actually I identify that was Wyatt Russell playing U.S. agent at the time, but
who's that guy?
Beard, he's clean
what has he been in?
He's in 22 Jump Street. The last thing I saw him in was an Overlord, and that's again, that's a movie I own, and he's honestly like I haven't seen him in like a lot. I don't even think he's in like a lot of things, but like the things that he is in, like him as an actor, he's so good at playing the role where you can't predict him. Like he just comes off with this such, not like a charismatic approach, but just he comes off with this aesthetic where it's so hard to pinpoint like what his intentions are. It's like he just puts a shield up over his character arc and you can't identify like what's really going on with him. And it's great because you don't know if he's really a good guy or a villain, and this role totally fits for him. So I'm really excited to see where it goes with him. Now, again, like you said, like they started off with a high note for him in this episode, and they kind of just put in the crumbs. And like I honestly don't blame him like for breaking. I just where it gets to that end point where he's like, just stay out of my way or whatever, like that he says, like it just totally fits because he's just dealing with so much shit, especially when you're trying to be there to help, like be helpful to the former Captain America's best friends and sidekicks, and they're just like, no, they don't want anything to do with you. But like they did sort of give him a chance, but he just came onto them way too hard when he's like looking at Falcon like, oh, I could really use Captain America's wingman or something. Like you're pushing it way too over the top with that, especially calling Bucky, like you shouldn't be doing that.
No, it was Buck.
Calling it, Buck, yeah.
Well, no, that was I don't know if he did that because Sam did that before he got the plane. He's like, come on, Buck. He's like, why you call me that? You don't call me that. He's, well, that's what Captain America called you. He's like, or that's what Steve called you. Yeah, it's like, yeah, you don't get to call me that. But like, see, but that's the thing. It's like, yeah, maybe he is stepping over the line saying the right hand man, but I feel like we know one way or another this relationship's gonna go poorly at some point. But I liked that I liked they didn't go the route that he was just douchey right away and didn't want their help or something like that. I like that when they were in trouble, he showed up on the helicopter and he's throwing the shield and he's like shooting them the smile and everything
He's
like
good
that.
with the shield. I'll give him
He's
that.
really good with the shield.
I really do get a kick out of how Bucky just couldn't handle it when he's like, what's your name? He's like, was it Blitzstar or something like that? What was his name?
Oh yeah, I forget. It's like Battlestar, I think.
Battlestar, yeah, Battlestar. It's just like, this is stupid.
And there's a moment where it's when the helicopter comes and he's throwing the shield around and Bucky catches it and then Walker just takes it right from him, and that look Bucky
like
shot him.
Yeah.
And again, though, it's not like I don't think Walker is doing that on purpose. He's just in the middle of the fight, but then you did see how untrained he is, because like he had this great moment where his friend what was his friend's name? I forgot it. Eustace or what? His last name was on his jacket. It was like Eustace or Yusaha or whatever. But either way,
something.
Well, either way, when his friend got kicked and looked like he was gonna die, he saved him with the shield. So like Taylor says, he's really good with the shield. But then he pulled himself up, like very weakly pulled himself up on the truck, and he like was ready for battle, and then she just fucking booted him like 20 miles away. And that word showed like, he might be the best guy they could find, but he's still clearly not ready for this. And I think that's going to be a recurring theme, because like we don't know for sure, but I would assume this is like his first big mission, like whatever this we've gone the plot line, we'll get into it more, as like the super soldier serum is the pushing forward, and it almost sounds like it's a black market drug that people are selling or using against for people. So this is his first mission, but his first day out, he failed. Technically, he failed. He didn't get any of the bad guys. He didn't get any of the vaccine or the serum or anything like that. So I feel like that's going to be a theme too, where he's going to keep failing, and there's going to be more pressure on him, because it's like, we want results. You're supposed to be Captain America, and you just keep screwing up. But I did like that he was trying to extend the olive branch to them. He saved them. He was just trying to. I like this route much better than instead of just like, get out of my way. Like I like that we got there at the end, but that's because they were being dick to him. Like he actually got Bucky out of his therapy, because remember, we'll get in that too. Bucky gets arrested, but he says, "Oh, from now on, that doesn't have to happen. He's too important to be kept like sidelined," and he got Sam. Like he did.
Who authorized this? It's like, come on. Me, Captain America.
That was so good, but that's what it's like. He was trying to play ball, like he did some things for them. So I love all the layers they've given him so far.
Yeah, and like just getting back to like the beginning when they're really humanizing him, and like when he's up there like talking to the crowd and stuff, like I was like, man, like that'd be tough to be that guy, like I was having these, and like it was so smart of them to have that right at the beginning of the episode, and then sprinkle through these little douchey moments, or maybe just moments that he's not cooperating, because like I feel like I was totally in his camp until it went to the TV, and like Bucky just sitting all sad and like pissed off at and I'm like, it like reminded me, I'm like, oh right, I'm supposed to hate this guy, right sorry, I'm still on Team Avengers.
Well, and I think that's where they're playing good, because I think eventually they will draw a line and make him either more villainy or more douchey, but as of right now, the only reason these guys don't like him is just because it's not Steve, the same reason we do. So it makes sense as a viewer, but it is also like, okay, we know some history about US Agent, but it's like, we do need some more to like actually hate him, because as of right now, I couldn't say he's hateable. Sure, he's douchey, and I'd like to maybe punch him once or something, because like just when he smiles, that guy, like he just has like a punchable face, especially because like I haven't seen Wyatt Russell without a beard, I don't think so. That's where it's like he doesn't pull off that look well, but I think that's on purpose. And I'm very interested to see the next few weeks. And I liked that, again, they didn't show the previews, but I thought we were going to be waiting the whole episode to get them meeting. I love that within 10 minutes they're on a mission, and boom, the new Captain America shows up to try and save the day. And I loved all their back and forth, whether it was jokes or douchiness or trying to be friendly. Like I think all the US Agent stuff, I guess I'll just call him John Walker for now. All that stuff really worked for me. Let's see what else here. I guess we can talk about the Flag Smashers a little bit, because we got more backstory. So they literally did, not that I was scared of it, but I've always told the story in Civil War where the finale, I was always scared that it was going to be them versus a bunch of super soldiers, and it wasn't. But now we are getting that. It's the Flag Smashers are a bunch of super soldiers with the serum, but they're they kind of doubled down on the whole they liked life better as far as the blip goes. I liked the line of saying like the government's more concerned about taking care of the people that came back than the people that
Yeah.
stayed. I like that because we already saw some treatment last week with Falcon and his sister. Now we're seeing some people that did stay around, but they're feeling like maybe they're disregarded. They're not being looked after, whether it's financially or emotionally or whatnot. So I think we only got a little bit more. I think we got some more humanizing stuff. I actually think the action scenes on the truck were good, nothing mind blowing. I think the Falcon one was better last week. I think it was more the character dynamics that was better. But how do you feel this week, Kirkland, as far as Flag Smashers? Are you more interested in them? Are you kind of the same? Where are you as far as they go? And we also had one of their boys stay back and self-sacrifice himself because they were going to get caught. And I guess they're just, like I said, like muling super soldier serum, I guess. Like they have these vats and stuff, and they said that it's been stolen. I don't know for sure, but
I unplugged my headphones halfway through what you're saying, but I think I know what I'm talking about here. So the Flag Smashers.
yeah.
Yeah. So I really liked what we got with them about like really like the people like getting behind their cause, and it's not so much like a terrorist group as opposed to like you can at least like there's one thing with the terrorist group where like you just can't really see like where they're coming from because they're just spreading terror and like killing people, whereas these people like they have, like Travis mentioned, like that one line of like the GRC isn't looking after us, like they're just looking after the people that were gone all those years. So I don't know, I feel like it gives some strength to their cause and to their just as a villain on screen. Like it's easier to kind of understand them. I liked when that I think it was like a German man was like like he had like the whole hideout for them with like beds and everything. I really liked all that stuff. Because it's not just this scary group with masks. It's something deeper, and I'm excited to find out kind of more about their, I don't know, just behind the scenes with them. I like that stuff. I like the characters that we got, that little sacrifice mission that guy had. I feel like he didn't have to die. I feel like he could have just pushed the thing over.
He
and then
didn't have to die at all.
He wanted out. He had enough of this life on the run. He was like, "Oh,
one
I'll
world,
give you
one
time.
people."
Yeah, I'll give you time." But no, I think you're right about that. That guy and the wife having the spot for them. It shows that more people believe in their cause than just them. So
yeah, I liked all that stuff. I'm really intrigued. Like I feel like every time that they've like just popped off and like did something was like when they put the mask on. I'm curious if it has like something to do with their powers, because I didn't see anyone do anything badassery until they put the mask on. So there you go. That's my tinfoil hat theory.
really well, and the only thing is too, like in the future, because their pictures are everywhere. Like, do they need to put their mask on for battle? Like, if there's no like actual power buff from it and they don't get stronger, it's like, why are they
Yeah.
putting these masks on still? I guess it's for like the image, right? To put forward like the flag smashers and everything. So, and like I actually don't know why, and I've watched it twice. I didn't realize that. I like that their logo is a hand, but in the hand is the world, and they're like handprint. So I really like that. Their palm print, it's like the globe.
Yeah. You didn't notice that?
No, I didn't notice that at all. Taylor, what about the flag smash for you? Kind of up or down this week?
I'd say up. Again, getting this backstory into their cause and what their goal is. It's interesting, you know, all this development, and I find it very intriguing. I know you mentioned you weren't a fan of the idea of super soldiers versus super soldiers, and they obviously moved past that. It was always something that I thought would be interesting, and now them shedding light on it being much more global, it seems, it has me really curious what's going on, especially because, and we'll get to that later, obviously other super soldiers that date back to like Captain America time and all that jazz. So that's like really, really interesting to get into. Then you have the scenario where obviously they're smuggling or shipping whatever they're shipping, and then you have the main lady, like Kathy or whatever her name was. She gets
Girl
a text
from
message.
Solo.
Yeah, girl from Solo. She gets a text basically saying like, "I'm gonna kill you. You took what is mine. I'm gonna kill you." Now, is this the same long-haired guy that beat up Boots on the Ground guy in the first episode when they were robbing that
Boots on
joint.
the Ground guy.
Boots on the Ground,
I love that's the name for him because he can't remember it. Boots on the Ground guy. Well, it's interesting because when she got that text first, I was like, "Oh, is this how we connected Zemo? Is he
That's
like?"
what I thought too.
I thought that, but then at the same point, when I was thinking about the text, like he wouldn't speak in that manner as far as the MCU character they set up. They're like, "I'm gonna find you and kill you." Like Zemo, like I feel like his threat would be a lot more subtle and almost more scary than that, and that was just so direct. So at first, I thought, okay, is this Zemo? And then, no, and then obviously at the end, it reveals it's likely not him unless he's doing some like shenanigans inside prison or something. But I don't know if it's just that other guy you were talking about or if it's someone else. I'm not gonna get in the fucking WandaVision like, who is this guy texting her? I'm not. Yeah, I'm not gonna get into those big theories anymore. I'm just gonna say, well, it's probably some random villain dude guy, and we'll figure it out once we get there. But yeah, I like that they used her. Like, well, I don't know if they meant to use her, but she used herself as like the hostage bait, and it was just so funny. Bucky, the fucking idiot, she's like, I got the hostage, and she's just evil smiling. He's like, "You okay?" And she just fucking like rounds house.
That
like
scene,
he's still some therapy that needs to be done.
That was really odd because like he ran alongside one of the hijacked trucks, ran in front of the hijacked truck and jumped in. And it's like, wouldn't the driver of the other truck
I was
do
wondering that
something?
too.
Because it just didn't make sense.
That's I think my only negative part, and this is where like they are going for that 80s, early 90s buddy cop comedy thing. And I think sometimes they slip into it too much because they also did that thing earlier in the episode where they were watching them and they were like literally mid argument while there's some guys there and they like bump over a pipe and they're like shit and they have to be all quiet. I was like, I get you want to do this whole like arguing back and forth, but I think you still got to pick your spots. And when it's like literally you're supposed to be secretly watching these people, I don't really want it then, like pick another time for it. And even like a weird thing was like when they did the plane jump thing, and I have more to say about that scene, but like, so Falcon jumps out and then, you can't parachute. It's too close to the ground. So Bucky's just gonna, I get he's a super soldier, but still doesn't really have much of a strategy just to jump out arm first and just fucking land.
That's what Captain America did in the Winter Soldier.
I guess, but like he at least had a superhero landing. But then my favorite thing was like, I get it. It's not a big nitpick. It's a comic book show. It's MCU. But like, so he's about to jump out of the plane and he like takes his arm and he rips his sleeve off to reveal his arm. And it's like, why? Like, why do you even need to do
restrictive?
It probably would have ripped off anyways when he flexes it.
That's what I was wondering. Yeah, I had that same thought. But then a part of me is like, maybe it's restrictive, but I don't know.
But yeah, I think that segment kind of had some like a little eye rolling cheese. Like, okay, we're doing this, aren't we? Yeah, but like, I just like, why rip it off? Because even when he lands, he's still gonna be walking around. Like, if it stays on, it could still be secretive. Now you're a guy walking around with a metal arm,
Just wanted to show off.
Yawning's contagious.
Yeah, Kirklin got me with the yawn midway through. But yeah, I don't have any theories of who's texting them yet. I hope it's someone that makes sense. That's all I can say.
Well, do you think it's could be like a different person behind the mask? Jesus, yeah, that's my pitch.
You're on a roll.
Another person behind the mask.
Well, like so in the last episode, the dude that jumped out of the window and then Taylor said flew around, boots on ground guy. Yeah, I'm in Taylor's camp.
So Taylor, why do you think this group is offshooting then from him?
Well, I think they have he probably is much more radical and extreme in his ideologies. I think these people, it seems like they kind of want to help and give back, whereas he seems much more, I don't know, abrasive. Like it's interesting because I don't remember seeing him amongst all the other people. Like and I say that because of his hairstyle.
Really good hairstyle. Just long, greasy black hair, like nothing going on,
Yeah.
I don't know. I want to talk about this one because I've learned something. This is from the WandaVision reviews and whatnot, and I learned that I'm always going to reveal some stuff, but I'm not going to reveal everything. So I want to just, as of right now, touch base and just get your opinions on Isaiah Bradley. We met him this episode. They were talking. So I guess we should talk about too that Bucky's. So I didn't even think why this would be the case. It would link back up. I was like, oh, they'll be on the same mission, blah, blah, blah. No, literally Bucky just shows up like, you fucking gave up the shield. Why'd you give up the shield? Like he's just bombarding him at work. So one, must have been awkward for everyone there. But two, like, I guess that makes complete sense. It's not actually the way I thought it was going to be. I thought it'd be a bit more organic, and it is still organic, but it's just like he's just showing up. But I do love later on when he's talking to Sam as far as like he gave you the shield because he trusted you, and then Sam says something like, "Well, something along the line. I chose to give it up. This is what I wanted to do." And then Bucky goes like, "Well, if he was wrong about you, he was maybe wrong about me." And that's the thing where it's like, I like that not only is he's pissed about the shield being brought away, he's also kind of questioning his future and questioning of like, man, like if Steve was wrong about me, maybe I can't recover without him, or maybe I can't recover at all. So I like their little back and forth. But so then we get this thing of talking about the history of the shield and everything like that. And he says, well, I would need you to meet somebody. And he goes to Isaiah Bradley. Tara, what did you take away from this scene?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard for me to really say. I'm just really, really curious because Isaiah is he's a character that the fact that he's was a super soldier, it totally just like left field. I was not expecting that. I thought it was cool because Bucky was like, yeah, like fought him at this one point in time, like in the Korean War, all that jazz, and it just seemed really, really interesting and the concept behind it. And then when he's like, people that kept going after him on the peninsula weren't coming back, so they dropped me off behind enemy lines and I took off part of his arm. Like, it just goes to show how just shitty the government really is in this universe, and how it advocates for Captain America's kind of disbandment from working for the government and being his own thing, because you just have this government that just, they lost Captain America and they went ahead and they did it. They made more super soldiers and they didn't treat them right. I mean, Isaiah was thrown in jail for 30 years and that was just for doing his job. Like they didn't, it didn't seem like they knew what they were doing. They were just abusing their power. And even then, like further on, it just goes to show, obviously later in MCU movies, you to see how much more bad it is. And again, this show's just explaining more from the Flag Smashers' point of view, that the government, like you said earlier, focuses more on the people that were gone than the people that were still around. So it's just an eye opener to see so much more of this backstory from these side characters that I obviously never knew existed. And I don't know if Isaiah is a comic book character like U.S. Agent.
He is, and there will be, if this character returns in the show, he and other characters around him have bigger implications, possibly, of stuff going on. It's kind of like the Agatha thing, where it's like these are characters that play a role in certain people's lives and storylines and whatnot. And this actor was known to be cast, but he was listed as unknown, and I think there was rumors it was going to be Isaiah Bradley. So people that, and I think there's a really good comic book run, Brent and Chris, go check out Marvel Live, we're just talking about, where it was like red, blue, and black, and it was about like his time as Captain America, well, being the replacement of Captain America, stuff like that. But there's still more to it as stuff like that. And I really like the way they did it, as far as like, it's this conversation. Obviously, he seems really bitter, and he just throws that piece of metal or whatnot. And just to say what All in the Game was saying, unfortunately, as expected, some people in the chat of another watch along he was watching, or Trigger the Show, is touching upon the topic of race. It's the thing of like, one, MCU's done it before Black Panther, so it's not like a foreign object. Like, I was happy they did it there, but now it's like they have done it. Two, Sam, fuck, his name's Anthony Mackie, just so you know. Anthony Mackie was talking about this before the show, that was going to cover this stuff. And three, it's like, the MCU, I feel like they try their best to ground it in the real world, and I really liked all of it. I liked it last week, and it was kind of back to back, so someone could say it was a little hamstring in there. So like, okay, fine, you have Isaiah talking about how he was kind of forgotten as a black man, and then you have Falcon saying like, hey, there was a black Captain America and no one knows about him, and then you have the cop showing up. I think you could have done some of those scenes maybe a bit spread out, because it was hitting with a lot of, I don't mind that they're doing the racing. That's what I want, because I want them tackling real world issues. It was just a lot of like boom, 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 almost to kind of seem like to really hit you over the head. And I feel like you got to do it more natural and a bit well written. And that's where like Black Panther to me never had that. This wasn't a big thing. It was just like, okay, you did all three in a row. That was peculiar. But I loved all that stuff, and I love that they had, obviously lots of parallels to today's universe as far as, the cops, like, it's such a shitty scene in a good way, as far as like the cops like pull over, they're harassing and whatnot, and they literally change their tune once they realize it's Falcon, and they're all like, oh yeah, like it's cool, but it's just like in that moment, it was just like it to me very realistic, and all in the game says he would have cut the cop one. I think I would have placed it somewhere else in the season. That's what I would have I would have done. I think right after it was a little whatever. But Kirklin, what about you as far as some of the race stuff they're bringing up, and then also Isaiah Bradley being introduced, because yeah, he's a character from the comic books, has a history. What do you think about learning that there was more super soldier serums after Captain America, and kind of what they're doing now with the new Cap? They've tried it in the past.
Yeah, I really liked his story. I found it really interesting. It's really sad, and it's just it's got me more interested in the super soldier Captain America type people that we didn't hear about, and like we're only hearing about it, years upon years later. And I thought just how his story went about, it tied in really well with the race stuff, because it's literally like when Sam was discussing in the street with Bucky, and then you get the cops pull up on him. I agree with you, Travis. It's really important that they have these like real world things in it. It like almost caught me off surprise. Like I felt like I was watching a different show at the time, just because and it's not a bad thing. It was just like the first time that's happened in the MCU, because like you said in Black Panther, it's like paced differently, I guess, is a way that you could say that. Because I do agree with you. I think they could have spread out like just a couple instances of it, because it just felt like it was like really dense in like one section of the episode where it could have been spread out. You mentioned like maybe even spread out over more episodes. I feel like more episodes, we're going to get more of it.
I guess I just don't want it to be like how we're talking about Black Panther. I feel like it was sprinkled throughout, where this was like, we have a 40-minute episode, and it felt like, okay, for this 5 minutes, we're going to, this is the tricky thing, right? Because you want them to talk about this stuff. You want them to tackle these, because one, I think it's a real world conversation. Two, I think it makes these characters more interesting, because it's Sam dealing with something else that a lot of other characters, primarily the MCU's all like white males, can't relate to. So it's like you want these conversations and scene to happen, but you also, to me, it felt like the race showcase of the part of the show where I was like, I don't want it not in there, but it was like, okay, we're doing the Isaiah Bradley thing, and then we're doing Sam's mad about that. Now we're gonna do the cop things. It's like, I think, like as we all talked about a little before already, it's like if it's spread out, it just flows a bit better, instead of just like the whole episode's action spy, but then these 5 minutes is about race, and then we get back to the action and spy stuff.
Yeah, and like I found it really interesting, like the Isaiah Bradley stuff, and then when they're having like their therapy session, and I think that's when it was, but Bucky's just like, I can't believe that you give away the shield. Like, how could you do that? And then like Sam is basically saying like there's no way for you guys to understand the position that I was put in like there. And I thought that was really interesting, because like he didn't really say it explicitly, but like I almost took it as like how much criticism he'd get if he was like the first Black Captain America.
How much hate he would get.
Exactly. And like I feel like that. I mean, I feel like before the show even came out, we were kind of speculating that would have been the theme of it. And it was really interesting just getting the Isaiah introduction, because it's very much a similar type role. Like he was the Captain America, the first Black Captain America, supposedly. I don't think they called him Captain America, but just the super soldier. And then they kind of just hit him and like didn't want him to be in the limelight. At least that's how I took it. So I feel like maybe Sam was seeing the similarities there. And I'm interested into when those two have a conversation again, because I know it'll happen.
Well, yeah, and I think they could, because in the comics, what happens to him is he goes to fight a war in like Europe against the Direction Ors, but he wants to go help and save people. So then when he gets back, they send him to prison. I think it could be something like that, but maybe he's looking at his way as like, even I could even see it as they sent him on a mission, and then he got caught, and the U.S. government was just like, oh, we don't know anything about this guy. We don't know, like, because he seemed like very, like, obviously it wouldn't be a good thing, but he seemed very angry still about this. I don't want to say
Yeah.
bitter because bitter sounds a little less than that, but it just sounds like he still has a lot of hatred towards
He's
people
pissed
that
off.
yeah, exactly. This is many years later. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I wonder if they'll come. I wonder if he's gonna come back or whatnot. But I think you will get. I think you, like you said, you almost have to have one more conversation with him and Falcon because Falcon didn't get a word and he just said like, "Oh, Isaiah," and then he just told him to get out, right? So I think they'll at least have to be one more. At least I hope there is.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Taylor, anything else on Isaiah Bradley, or are we good to?
I want to touch upon the racist stuff actually a little bit. So I think my favorite line and just like phrasing in this episode with Sam Wilson when he's talking to the kid's like calling him like Black Falcon, Black Falcon.
Yeah, why do you call me that?
He's like the way I take it is he's like I don't know how to like I don't know the proper words like to explain it, but the way he's not emphasizing but honing in and pinpointing on it on Sam Wilson, like because he's a black man, and he's like saying like you're a Black Falcon. He's like, oh, is it because I'm a black man? I'm Falcon, and he's like, well, aren't you? And it's like, you know, at the end of the day, like. I like how Sam Wilson turns it around to the kid and displays the fact that it's, you know, so much more than just like, you know, he's not Black Falcon. He is Falcon. He's a human being.
Yeah.
It's not a label. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's not a label. He eliminates that whole form of racism. Like, it's not about looking at him as being, you know, a black man. He's a human being. He is the Falcon. He is, you know, he's a human being. He eliminates the racism from that. And I love that so much. And I wish I could explain it better, but it's just, how he countered that and taught that to that kid. I think it was just really, really well done.
Taylor, again, you can't solve racism at 1:30 in the morning.
I know. I need to step up my game. But it's just the whole follow up with that, and again, like with the cops showing up. Again, I wasn't expecting them to go for that with the cops. When the cop went like looked at Bucky and was like, "Is this guy bothering you?" I was like, "Oh, you pieces of shit! Like this is just horrible!" Like, and I'm glad they put that in there. I really am, because that's the kind of thing that needs to be. And again, I don't mean all cops are bad. You know, it's like there's people, there's good people, there's bad people, there's good cops, and there's bad cops. But it's just unfortunate, like, but I'm glad that they showcase this because that's such a real thing. Like, it just happens. And like, I'm glad that I'm glad they tackled that. I'm glad they executed it the way they did. And again, like, oh, they realize that it's not Wade Wilson, it's Sam Wilson. And
whoa, we hit the big gun. That was the big cameo at the end. That's who texted that girl. You better have my stuff or I'll kill you. It's just dead full. Like, out of this whole race conversation's going on, and Wade Wilson's in the back being like, you know,
I'll fucking kill you.
I want to be a super soldier. But no, well, and that's like, it's the same thing. This is where, if anyone ever jumps to you're like generalizing, that's when you have something to worry about, because it's like, yeah, not all cops are bad, not all people are bad. It's like we talk about fandom and like Snyder cut this out. No, they're not all assholes. It's just like there's people that are select few, and then there's people in the cop world that do like these very terrible things that happens, and like it's a shitty thing, but like that does 100% happen. Like, I don't know if Kyle will be on After 9 this week, but that happened once where he got pulled over, and like the way the cop was talking to him was like, I could just tell, like, okay, this is getting uncomfortable, and he made him do a breathalyzer. Kyle was not drunk at all, so Kyle just got to smirk it off because like the guy was like, "Oh yeah, I bet you've been drinking tonight." And he's like, "Nope, not at all, man." Like, ma'am, it was he wasn't trying to offend the cop, but he's like, "No, not at all." So like, I remember being in that situation, like hearing that over. So it's like, and obviously in the real world, look at all this bad stuff that has happened. It does happen. So, and like All in the Game was talking about, it's like. Cedric House said it's even worse when the cop realized it was Falcon. Yeah, it was. It reminded me of last week of the bank teller scene too, when he was like, he was trying to figure it out, but it seemed like he cared about him a little bit, but then once he told him he was Falcon, he's like, oh yeah, you're Falcon. That's where it's just like, you gotta still. I think that's what the show's trying to put forward right now, is to value almost what Taylor's talking about, to value the person and not just value him because he's Falcon or a hero. Like, they shouldn't look at him and be like, oh, because he's a hero, he's fine. It should be like, no, because at the end of the day, they were just talking. Sure, they were like maybe talking loudly, but that would just be like you would question them, but question them both, not just, hey, is this guy bothering you and whatnot. And I think that's a good conversation to have. And especially because if he does become Captain America, yeah, it's going to be a lot of stuff. So I hope there's more of that in the show. I think there will be. We've already gone 2 episodes where they've had moments of it. I think they got to work on the flow a bit better. But at the end of the day, if it was to take it out, I wouldn't, because I want that stuff in there, because I think it causes conversation. Because, and you know what, if people don't like it, then they can turn it off and go watch something else. I always go back to Neil Druckmann, who did Last of Us 1 and 2. And when Last of Us 2 was coming out, someone tweeted and was like, well, I don't think I'm going to play this game because it's full of politics. And he's like, well, you shouldn't have played the first one either. And it's like, many of these creators, like, they do that. That's their personal lives seeping over and stuff like that. And like I said, if you don't like it, you don't need to complain about it. Just don't watch it. You know, there'll be Loki in a couple months. There you go. You know. Anything else about this section?
I just wanted to double up on that awesome line that Taylor was bringing up with the whole Black Falcon thing. It was such a short, like, little, like, one-liner that Sam did on the kid, but like right then and there, like, it was actually a really important lesson that was like easy to digest, and it's like easy to reproduce that, you know, because like I feel like so many people just are so used to like having a label on like that, which like the way that he flipped that on him, like it was so clever, and it was so easy to just like throw in there. So good shout out, Taylor. I definitely like that line when I saw it in the episode.
There might be other things, but this is probably the next biggest one. We get our first look at Zemo. I kind of predict this too, that I thought we'd get Zemo at the end of this episode, but obviously I guess I just assumed because of the trailers, but I guess I kind of forgot that he's still in prison. I assumed he was out. So when they're like, we're gonna go to, and I liked that too, when again they were talking about race a little bit at the end, when Isaiah said like one of you, and Sam's like, oh, he was just angry, didn't mean like that, and Bucky's like, no, not one of me, like white guy, like Hydra, like I used to be Hydra, right? And I was like, oh, that was fun. And then when he's like, well, who knows all of Hydra's secrets? And the only worry that I have when Sam's like, oh no, it can't be, the fact that we have Sword, who has like some evil stuff going on, and I swear Hydra's already back. It's just like, do we need this? Do we need Hydra back?
Well, I don't think Hydra's back. It's just they're going to the guy that learned everything about Hydra, right?
Okay, but how's he gonna help him in this situation then?
Well, he knew about super soldiers, so he obviously has a lot of insight, right?
I hope that's the end of the line. No pun intended for Captain America. I hope that is the end of the line and it's not some sort of Hydra. Like, the only pass I'll give them is if the person texting that young woman is Red Skull. Now, I still don't also think he would text you, I'm going to find you and kill you. But if at one point in the episode, a guy walks into a warehouse and takes off his mask and it's the Red Skull, I'll go, you know what? Fuck, I'm all down for Hydra being back. Let's do it. But unless it's that, I don't want that. But I liked the setup, like, who knows all the secrets? Well, there's only one guy. And then it's like, okay, I guess we're going to go see Zemo. That was a very, like, Bond, like, Mission Impossible moment. I loved that ending. And we just see that he's somewhere, probably in Sokovia or something, in a prison cell. And they're going to go talk to him. And, all in the game says a prison breakout next episode.
You think they're gonna have to break them out? You don't think they get? Well, I thought they emphasized that they got certain leeway, that they're not bound to certain jurisdiction like U.S. agents. So I figured they could just go in there and see him, couldn't they?
That's what I assume. Imagine if that was just their first thing, where they're like, should we go talk to him? Nah, let's just break him out. Well, and they're like, you guys could have just went in there and questioned him. You didn't have to break him out. Like, oh no. So here's the thing, all in the game. You could be right that we might get a break on the episode. I don't think it'll be Sam and Falcon breaking him out. I think it could be some situation, because I do think, I think they could legitimately set up a meeting and just go talk with Zemo to get some info. I don't think they got to break him out. But
Sam's pretty law conscious now. Like, he's in this episode. He doesn't want to like do time when they wanted to, Bucky was pitching the shield steal.
Well, yeah, Bucky in the middle of the night, probably like us, 1:30 in the morning, he's just like, we should go get the shield, Sam. Like, fuck, Bucky's still like messed up. Like, and like, I like how Sam's like, no, we're not gonna go beat a man to take the shield. And he's like, look what happened last time. And that was a good time to Civil War. Is like, yeah, me and Steve were on the run for 2 years. I'm not doing that again. It's like, yeah, like that makes sense. But Bucky has no fucks given. He's like, and I feel like it's when we reviewed Justice League a few weeks ago, I feel like Bucky has that Batman thing going on where to me, it feels like he's kind of on a suicide mission. Like he's looking to die, in my opinion. Like whether it's the helicopter, whether it's like, let's just go take the shield. He's doing and putting himself in all these situations that he's going to be in danger. Even coming back with Sam, like Sam was like, I don't want you coming with me on this mission, blah, blah, blah. And then he came with him, even though one of his rules is like no hurting people. Like, to me, he looks like he's trying to like end his life. In my opinion, he wants to go out so he doesn't have that burden anymore. But yeah, what do you guys think about? Obviously, I imagine the episode next week will probably open with, if not be very soon into the episode, as far as Zemo coming back. And also, we knew he's coming back, but now we know episode 3, he's making his way.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see him back. And yeah, just touching upon like Sam mentioning like on the run for like 2 years and stuff. I feel like with all like the big Infinity War type stuff happening, like you almost forget that like that happened. Like it, and it was so long ago when that was. So I'm glad that they mentioned that again, and I'm glad us to jump back to Baron Zemo next episode. Just I like his screen presence that he brings. So I think it'll be some fun episodes.
Taylor, before I get your thoughts, we're gonna take our final ad break. All right, we're back. So Taylor, what are you excited for Zemo next week? I would assume, I guarantee it's gonna be the same as US Agent. I think we're gonna get a mini update of what's been happening to Zemo in these past few years. I'm gonna imagine, of course, he probably didn't get snapped, so he's probably been sitting there for the past 5 years in prison or something like that. But
just in a cell.
Yeah, imagine that he's in the cell, and when he snaps back, he's just back in the cell. It's like, damn it! Like,
I would have been, or not. I would have been. I am very excited for.
I would have been excited, but
I loved him in Civil War. I thought he was a great villain. I think again, these tactical, strategic characters and villains. That's my cup of tea. I really like when they are very clean spoken, very well worded, and just they have a certain clean spoken. They have a certain aesthetic to them where they're
a Thrawn type.
Thrawn, yeah. This is my MCU Thrawn, I think, at this point. So I'm very excited to see him come back and what he's capable of this time around and what he's gonna do. Yeah, just the alluding to that in this episode was really, really awesome. And I just can't imagine just them sitting in a room and just putting the Winter Soldier in this room with a guy who knows freight car and all those words.
Homecoming,
like homecoming. That's like,
but his mind is better now, as Kirklin has his name when he's like, aren't you the White Panther? No, I'm the White. That was great back and forth. I'm the White Wolf, and the Sam's like, you're what?
That's true. I do want to shout out to, I feel like this whole Disney Plus series era that they're doing is just like the age of Sokovians, because like the Sokovians are just popping off. Like, who's going to be in Loki, I wonder?
Oh, that's where they're like, we got time travel back to Sokovia. Loki. He's like, great. How do you think, like all the game was saying, do you think we get some sort of breakout form next episode? Because my only fear, and I actually don't think this will happen based on trailers, but I would hate if they were to talk to Zemo and then they don't break him out to like episode 6 to like set up another season or to set up him doing something else. I hope he breaks out in this show and is a part of the story.
Oh, he'll break out in this show. Do I think he's going to break out in the next episode? I mean, that's hard to say. I don't think it's going to be willingly done by Bucky and Sam. Yeah. I feel like it's going to be Baron Zemo taking advantage of an opportunity. And I mean, whenever you get visitors, that's an opportunity for something. So
yeah, is there anything, because I have a few notes to shout out, but anything in particular we haven't talked about that we want to talk about? I guess the only other thing is Sam and Bucky said after this mission they're done with each other. They have their therapy session, which again in the trailers I really didn't like. I don't think it's the greatest, like them doing the staring contest and stuff. Like, I think that's very like all right, but it played better in the show. But they both got mad at each other. We talked about that already, and then they said after this adventure they're going to be done with each other. Which
they're training together after. We know that.
Yeah, they're not going to be done at all. Like, there's no way. But I guess that's their intention, because I do like that they're still just actually not friends. Like, they're just friends because they both lost their best friend and he's gone, so they're like friends by association. They're friends because they have to, but they never really bonded, and the times they were together they disliked each other, you know. So it's like, it's funny that they've been set together in this pairing and everything like that. There's a quick shot, all the game says there's a quick shot of 3 of them walking in the streets of Madripoor is in a trailer. So that could be true, but like I don't know if that means they break them out. But like, because here, like, I guess like what's the way they pitch it? Baron Zemo says like, "I'll tell you this vital information if you get me out." Is that something worth for them doing?
Maybe
I
his
just
sentence expires. Maybe they happen to show up on the day he's getting released. He served
Well,
his 5 years time.
well, technically 7, because remember, Civil War was 7 years, and then
Right.
the blip happened. So, what did he end up doing? I feel like the man who killed the king of Wakanda would probably get more than 7 years. He killed T'Chaka, Black Panther's dad. If they only gave him 7 years, as Wakanda, I'd be fucking pissed. Like, you killed my dad and the king, and you gave him 7 years? You're like, yeah, but he had good behavior. He was white. It's like, what? Like, come on now. Like, so I imagine if they do break him out, it'll be they desperately need some sort of information, and he says the only way you're getting this is if you break me out. So, and yeah, Mad Rapport is I never know how to say it. I'll know when we get in the show. It's a place from the comic books. It was something they can use now because it was technically an X-Men location, but because they got the deal, they can use this location. No, I don't think you're gonna see no fucking X-Men in the show. Everyone calm down. But yeah, anything in particular to shout out?
What do you got, Kirklin? I know you got something. You're stewing on it. That person, the mask, behind the mask.
I already said that, didn't I? Brought up that theory. I don't think I have anything. Rest in peace, Red Hawk, Red Falcon, whatever the hell that thing's called.
Red Wing.
Red
Definitely.
Wing.
Yeah.
You got blipped.
Yeah, I hated that line when she broke over his knee, and Bucky's like, "I've always wanted to do that." It's like, all right, I guess. Like he's like, whatever. But yeah, we lost another one. You know, we lost Vision again. We lost the Red Wing. We're just losing all the robots and everything. Yeah, I think all the notes that I have, I shut out. The only things that I wanted to stress more is like the episode was called Star Spangled Man, and if you caught the music that the band was playing, that's the music, and it's actually a really catchy song. I one time made Emily listen to it on repeat for about half an hour. She hated me for the car ride, but alas, we're still together, so it wasn't too bad. But that's the song that when Captain America's doing the rounds in the first movie, like going to camps, punching fake Hitler and everything, they're playing that song. So the song was called that, and I did like. Again, if anyone in the chat can tell us the name of John Walker's friend, I can't remember his name, but I love when John Walker's like, and again, why I think they were putting out as he's still a good guy. He was like, I just want to get out there and do the job. Like, I want to make a difference. And he's like, you are though. Like, this is the new job. It's like, you have to talk to people. You have to say, good morning, America, stuff like you have to do all these things. So I liked that, but I felt like him running with the band, and the band was playing a new version of Star Spangled Banner, but him running with the band, him on the talk show, everything like that, it felt very much like the first Avenger, where the first little while he went down to different war camps and he just wanted to get in the battle, but they're like, no, you have to just go out there and spread the word to get people to buy war bonds or make them feel good about the war. Like, they made Steve Rogers make a Captain America movie before he could go even into battle, you know? So it's like, I liked those parallels of seeing like whether this guy turns out to be a villain or not, he's going through the pretty much the same process Steve did as far as the tryouts, like the tours and everything like that. So I like all that stuff.
So his name is Battlestar Lamar Hoskins.
Hoskins there. I'm not calling Battlestar. Hoskins in his.
You're like Bucky, like just getting out of the vehicle when he calls him Battlestar. That was so good. He's like Hoskins, Lamar Hoskins. Like, are we supposed to know what that who we are by that name? He's like Battlestar.
Oh, there you go. Making commentary of the black sidekick trope. I kind of thought that because like you have Captain America and Sam, and now you have the new Captain America and Hoskins. So I kind of thought that they were kind of making a play on that. So yeah, those are all my notes. Anything else to shout out, guys, before we end this episode? And look forward to next week, episode 3. It's crazy, but next week we'll be halfway through the season.
Oh boy, yeah.
Jeez. Yeah. It's a quick one.
Yeah. But, you know, we got those 40 minutes episodes. So, but yeah, I really like this episode. This was, to me, a massive step up. Not that anything was wrong with last week, but this left me on I'm very excited for next week. And I think if this one was a banger, I think I'm dying to see, like, the same way I was dying to see Falcon and the new Captain America have a conversation. I'm dying to see what they have to say to Zemo, and I think that's gonna be some really good stuff. And it makes me honestly just want to rewatch Civil War. Like and I
Yeah.
think I might this weekend because like I love that whole dynamic. I've actually been wanting to rewatch the whole Captain America trilogy after this show because all the vibes, like even talking about First Avenger, which I don't even like that much, but yeah, well, ladies and gentlemen, as always, go down the links below. That's where you can find our Patreon, all the things we do, video, audio. Please like, subscribe. If you can't support us Patreon, that would mean the world to us. I should have pimped it at the beginning, but After 9 will be happening this weekend, Saturday 9 a.m. We'll pimp it on Twitter and Facebook and everything like that. But if you want to join the call, call them. We're going to be talking about Falcon Winter Soldier, Justice League, a whole bunch of stuff. Join the 2-tier, second tier Patreon, and then we will be doing that 9 a.m. PST. So until next time, we promise you it'll not be boring.
Goodbye.